real quick, just going to open the floor up for any other questions before we kind of delve into how to craft a really good one-liner elevator pitch to really help brand your business and stay memorable in your customers' minds. And if you guys have any questions at any point, we can do that as we can answer those as well. I've got a couple of helpers today. Actually, let me make sure that Ken can see. So if you guys send anything to the organizers, I've got a couple people in here that can answer those questions as well. Or if I need to answer it, they can make sure it gets brought to my attention, but I'm usually pretty good at monitoring. All right. So what I would like to talk about today is, anytime you're out meeting people or you're out, just even out and about, the favorite topic everybody likes to do is, so what do you do? And how you answer that question, even just in the most off chance circumstances or happenstance, excuse me, circumstances, can continually drive business, because if you've got something that is very engaging, then what that'll do is help you stick out in people's minds. So when they're thinking about, I've got a friend or somebody that's looking for a house or needs a mortgage, hey, yeah, I remember this one person I met, and I'll hook them up. Because you guys, I think last year when we did March Madness for inbound marketing, the #1 winner for that was referrals, because that's still a huge part of the business. And this is how you can kind of encourage to get more of those referrals, by sticking in people's minds. So, okay. I know, Scooter, if it's on our platform with the social media that you just tried to enter in, I would recommend giving our support team a call, because they'll be able to help you with your individual one if you're having any issues with it. And I will be recording this session, so that way if you want to come back and listen to what we did later, you're able to. But yeah, definitely reach out to our support team if you're having fun. Mahalo. Oh, cool, you're from Hawaii. That's, yeah, Maui, I see your email now. All right, anyway, back on track. So I do want audience participation this time, guys. So just in the chat window, whenever somebody asks you this, what do you normally tell them? And just go ahead and type it right in the chat window. Because I know a lot of you probably respond with things like, I'm a realtor, real estate agent, mortgage broker, loan officer, etc. Do you realize that a lot of people actually don't necessarily know what that really entails, or a way to connect with it, other than, yeah, I know if I need to buy a house, I have to need to talk to a loan officer, need to talk to a realtor. Don't know really what they do for me, or things like that. There's a much better way that you can kind of brand yourself that's going to connect a lot more with your client, rather than, oh yeah, they're an agent. And that's what we're going to be going through today. There we go. Today's objective is to guide you through creating your own elevator speech or one-liner to better answer that question in a way that's going to be very engaging. People want to know, I mean, it's kind of true, people want to know what you can do for them. And the more you can kind of answer that in a way that does reflect on your business and keep it concise, that's going to help you stick in their mind. You've got a really good one when you're trying it out on someone and it's followed up with, wow, can I get your business card? That's our end game right there, because that's going to be something they're going to be able to kind of keep. So let's go through the process here. So what is a one-liner anyway? a lot of the material in this came from a webinar that a couple of us here recently attended from a gentleman named Donald Miller, who pretty much runs a business centered around helping small businesses, or even, they've done large businesses too, tell their story, their brand in a way that their customers, relate to it, can see themselves within it, and it just really builds that cohesive connection that builds brand loyalty and helps you build your business. So this is Words That Sell webinar. So and we've adapted a lot of this to make sure it's kind of focused around you guys, rather than his was more broad spectrum because he's trying to appeal to his audience, which knowing your target audience is kind of key with this, and we'll touch on that in a second. But essentially all a one-liner is a single sentence that you can kind of repeat over and over and over, so people know exactly what you offer and why they should do business with you. Why should they choose you to be their real estate agent, their mortgage broker, their loan officer. So, and it can be more than one sentence, but the idea is that it's going to be something that's simple, relevant, and repeatable. Think of it like, a soundbite from a movie. You're probably wondering too a little bit, why are we even devoting time to help you with this? Why is it important? It might sound a little cheesy, but having a memorable and repeatable one-liner can help you get stuck in somebody's mind. We used to have a gentleman that worked with us that was a realtor, and whenever he'd go in for a listing presentation, he would usually ask, is there a reason you're not going with the agent, or the agent that helped you buy the house isn't, now your listing agent? Usually he'd get answers like, oh, I have no idea how to get in touch with them. I don't even remember their name. So obviously whoever was helping them sell their house didn't do a good job of continuing to maintain that relationship, to foster it down the road, and then now when they're ready to sell, that person's missing out on that seller's commission or that listing commission, whatever the terminology it is. Not a real estate agent. But so that's something to keep in mind. That's why you want something that's going to get stuck, kind of filed in that little Rolodex in their head. Because branding yourself is just as important as marketing your site through social media and things like that. Having a good one-liner is really that key component to branding your business, especially because you can use it in all sorts of things like social media, marketing. We'll kind of run down a list and give you some ideas as well. The average person needs to hear something about 8 times before they really actually start listening to the message or what you're trying to convey. A great one-liner clearly communicates what you do in such a way that someone's going to instantly connect with you. If it's something that they need, it'll kind of click in their mind of like, hey, yeah, no, I actually do need to form a relationship with you. Even if I'm not ready to buy right now, this conversation or, this, I want to know what you're about. I want to be part of what you're about and what your business is about. So even if they're not quite at that, I'm ready to fill out paperwork to start a loan or, put in an offer on the house, they are already kind of in that, that area where you're going to be able to nurture them towards that closing table. Because again, this is a kind of central to the inbound marketing philosophy, which is about attracting quality leads that you're going to be able to get to the closing table more often, rather than just kind of scattershotting and hoping your message is going to stick at the right time with the person. Because I mean, especially with when it comes to real estate or mortgage, they don't necessarily know, the ins and outs of what you do for them in the transaction or how you can use your expertise to help guide them and make it a very easy transaction, um, how to handle some of the challenges that might come up. They need to know, they know that they need you, but again, they really need to know what you do for them, and having something that's very simple to kind of explain that's targeted at a pain point or something that they've got is what's going to help you. Okay. I'm not quite sure what you meant by the gloves didn't fit, but that's okay. Creating, oops, hang on, went too far, sorry. Creating your one-liner is going to help you kind of cut through the noise of your competition. You guys are well aware that there are, agents in markets. There are some very saturated markets out there, and how agents differentiate themselves. The ones that do actually wind up doing better business-wise than those that are trying to remain generalist and trying to just grab anybody that'll walk through the door to try to get them through the home buying process. There are a lot of other agents and mortgage professionals out there that are also clamoring for your customers' attention. Stop trying to compete with, the agent down the road, and define your business through your one-liner to stand apart from them. You have to kind of define your niche a little bit, and by specializing, you're not still playing by the same rules. You've kind of come out here and you're playing by your own rules, where you actually can kind of slant the game in your favor, as it were. Because when you break through the noise of the competition and actually connect with your customers, it's going to be very easy to beat them, because a good one-liner will, it's kind of like a story summary, but where your customer can actually see themselves in it, that connects on that emotional level, which is where that relationship foundation and connection kind of gets formed. People will want to come to you because they'll know what you're about, what you're going to do for them, and what you stand for as a business, why you're in the business for it. You can use the soundbite on all of the marketing that you put out, your social media, business cards, and you can't use it enough once you've got it. So to kind of bring it into an example, which one of these two do you find would you find more engaging? There's, for most families, choosing a new home is the biggest financial decision they'll ever make. There are many complicated decisions involved in choosing a home, and if you're like most people, we bet you'll want some expert advice along the way, and you'll need a real estate agent looking out for your top interests. Yeah, that's a little vague. I'm kind of little word overwhelmed there as well, versus, when you relocate to a new city, most people don't know where to find information about local businesses, neighborhoods, or county schools. We're a team of local experts that provide people with valuable information and help them find the home of their dreams. I want to talk to that second person because I know what they're going to do. They've touched on something of, I'm looking to buy a house. I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of all the neighborhoods that are going to fit my lifestyle, where even the good schools are. But I know that if I go with this team, I'm going to get not just one person, but an entire team of people that know the local area really well, and they're going to make sure that I find the best home for myself and my family. Put your customers in that story. They have, if you think about it, I like to write, just creative fiction writing, things like that, as a hobby, and I also like to read a lot. The stories that people tend to enjoy the most are the ones where there's a character or something that they can see themselves immersed in as part of it. taking that same idea, you're applying it here, where myself as the customer, I can see myself in the second one. The other one, it's just a bunch of kind of talking noise that explains something, but I'm still not 100% sure what. Okay. So, for example, you can think of it like like the log line of a movie. The log line is kind of like the one sentence that the screenwriter or director uses as part of their pitch to the the movie producers. So, for example, I'm going to use one from one of my favorite movies. So a science fiction fantasy written about a naive but ambitious farm boy from a backwater desert who discovers powers he never knew he had when he teams up with a feisty princess, a mercenary space pilot, and an old wizard warrior to lead a ragtag rebellion against the sinister forces of the evil galactic empire. Anyone want to care to venture which one that is? So it's an entire movie chain, if that helps. Yep. Star Wars. Yep. That's it. So, I mean, yours is going to be a lot more customer problem centric, which is where the drama, if you will, of the story comes in. But it's enough for, the spirit of the idea really is the same. You're going to want someone to hear enough information that they're eager to actually learn more and connect with you. So you want to intrigue them. Okay, so it wouldn't really be fair to tell you you guys have to have one if we don't share ours with you. This is one that our inbound marketing and design team came up with to kind of describe what we do for you as part of the setup services and these classes that you do. For those of you that may or may not have gone through the process with the design team, is once you buy the platform, or if you're an existing customer, you purchase an upgrade to one of the to have a mobile responsive site. You're going to work with a member of the design team, and we're going to kind of consult with you about your web design. So ours is kind of touching on one of your pain points, which is, real estate and mortgage professionals don't often know how to market themselves online well, and not necessarily know what they need is. So we provide, the mobile responsive websites. Plus, we do these sessions, and we have a good help section as well to kind of help you figure out what strategies are going to work best for your business to, bring it into where it's trying to target the customers that you're seeing a greater return on when it comes to the quality of leads and things like that. So that way you're going to be able to, put a lot more money and time into your business so that way it can grow. So enough about us. Let's talk about you guys. There are 3 steps to creating a memorable one-liner. You want to identify the problem that you're going to solve for the customer. Then you're going to give a plan for what you're going to be doing to actually help them. So identify the problem, let them know how you help them, and then you're going to bring them around to what their happy ending is going to be for the story. Knowing who you're targeting is really important because it makes this process a lot easier. When you're not targeting, everything just seems so open. There's versus when you are targeting, you already have kind of a subset of decisions that are already made for you. You kind of have your blinders on a little bit. You can download a copy of our free worksheets to help you define your customers. Let me see if this will work. Nope. Hang on. I have it open here. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so that is where you guys can get our customer persona template ebook from. Now, usually whenever I say, you know, target or, you know, kind of put your blinders on, I can kind of feel a shudder of, but if I only target one type of customer, all these others aren't going to come to me because, you know, they don't think I've got anything for them. Not true. You're going to be, for this exercise, it is possible to have a site that does target more than one customer. Let me bring ours up again real quick. So for example, with this, we've got something for people relocating, something targeting some buyers or specifically people that are renting right now, and something targeting sellers that might be having a problem with their house being on the market too long or things like that. This site has about 3 different focuses currently on it. I could get even more specific with Oklahoma City area for relocating to either be military or relocating for jobs or business, because, you know, we've got a lot of businesses that are starting up, as well as a history of people relocating to work for the energy companies they're a big part of the state. But either way, you know, the more you can kind of focus in and make it specific to the person, the better off you're going to be for that. So for right now, it's best to kind of, you know, pick the target or type of customer that you're wanting to maybe see some more leads on this year. And then once you kind of get things going really well with that, you know, you can try this with another customer type or however you want it. That's again how you can kind of use it to grow your business down the road on that. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so it's okay if you work with both buyers and sellers or only do certain types of loans, like that are more aimed at benefiting certain subsections of the population, like USDA, VA, FHA, you know, jumbo loans, things like that. But again, for the purposes of today, and so you actually have something you can kind of take back with you, I want you to just focus on one type of customer, the one that you're really wanting to try to get more leads from. Maybe it's if you've been a buyer's agent and you're wanting to try to move to getting more listings, focus on something seller oriented for this. Okay, and then if you're a newer agent and just trying to work on getting established, I would focus on, you know, maybe a specific type of buyer you want to pursue. Do you want to pursue maybe people that are single but might be looking to be homeowners, or are you wanting to work with families, or, you know, be a relocation specialist if that's a big factor in your market? Brainstorm a couple of ideas. It's fine. You know, don't limit yourself. I personally like to just take a piece of paper or well, I'm not much for paper, but I'll just sit there and just type down a list of a bunch of ideas, and then I'll kind of, you know, go back and winnow the ones and figure out which focus I want. So whatever method works best for you for brainstorming, just kind of think only on one main one right now, though. So for loan professionals, I would probably pick a loan program that you want to promote for now. And we're going to go into each one of these in depth. So when you're brainstorming ideas for your customer problem, there are 5 things you really need to keep in mind. 1, be as specific as possible. If you're doing one on relocating, I would even try to get even more specific than that. We'll use military relocation, for example, because that's a unique situation that's very different than relocating for a job or on a business basis, because their orders could change at any time, and then they're having to, they think that they're going to be putting down roots, or and then it things change. um, so and a lot of times they're moving to an area or a base that they've never been to before. So really knowing how best you can help support their family is going to be crucial. And I'm saying this as a military brat. But so that's something that really does, so again, as specific as you can make that. You want to make sure that it is an actual pain point, because if it's not a problem for your customer, they're not going to be seeking you as the solution. This goes back to things you may have heard me say in other videos of when you're talking about content for your site, which this is an element of content for your brand. You want to make sure that you're addressing, pointing out a problem and addressing it. Now, some people may not realize that they've got a problem, but once you kind of fashion it, they'll think, well, maybe I do need to consider, going with a relocation specialist instead of just, picking an agent at random, because they're going to understand kind of what needs to happen more than me just kind of going with some random agent that I picked just looking off of, Zillow, or asking my Facebook friends or something like that. Um, so for example, another example that's not necessarily relocation would be, when it's time to upgrade to a larger home, most people don't know where to begin, or something like that. That doesn't really resonate, but being more targeted is, selling your first home and doing so quickly can seem like an intimidating process, especially with a growing family. Because that's usually one of the reasons people want to move to a larger house. And a lot of times they're not sure if, if that move is right for them, or how to even go about doing a buying and selling, because the last thing they're scared about, and here's another pain point too, is getting stuck paying 2 mortgages, and then winding up underwater. That's just not a good situation anybody wants to put themselves in. So really put yourself in the customer mindset. That worksheet link that I put in the chat window will really help you get there. So, now that you're specific, excuse me, and you're making sure that you're really, really addressing a pain point, you want to get it down to a soundbite that's as short as possible. I think what I did earlier, that might be a little longer, but there's not like you have to have 3 words or whatever, but as simple and concise as you can make it, while still being specific. I mean, there's a little bit of kind of revision or coming back to it that you may need to do, but that's just something to keep in mind. Sound bites are what stick in people's minds, and especially when you're hitting on that emotional trigger of a problem or a pain point somebody's got, that's what's going to help. The 5th thing is, don't use industry jargon. Saying, people aren't sure where to begin searching in the MLS. Most people don't know what MLS stands for. I know I certainly didn't before coming to work with Pipeline and a la mode. Your designations, if you're trying to include those in there, I would avoid the acronyms, and kind of explain more what they do, or how that benefits somebody. So working with, I think it's accredited buyer's agent. I think that might be one of them. I don't remember. You might actually, instead of saying, working with an ABA, explain it, working with accredited buyer's agent means that I've got the expertise to really make sure things are happening the way they need to from your angle, kind of thing. So just kind of checking the minutes here. So for example, some more I'm going to throw out here for agents looking to attract buyers. Not knowing community information to be able to find what neighborhoods would fit their family's lifestyle, not knowing how affordable it is in your market to buy a home. They think that they think rent's all they're able to afford, when in reality they're probably paying a lot more for rent than they would be if they found something comparable as a home in their own area. Plus, if you're paying rent, you're really just making somebody else rich, but you're not investing in your own future. So that's another thing you can kind of take away. Well, maybe not necessarily rich, but you're definitely not making an investment in your future on that. Let's see. So for trying to shift gears here. So for agents attracting sellers, first-time sellers, I don't see a lot of information out there for those guys. We're not looking to sell right now, but I know that I've looked a couple of times just out of curiosity, and I can't find a lot of information that's really helpful or that is even targeting first-time sellers. So that might be something if you're a buyer, if you work primarily with buyers and you're really wanting to get more into listings, first-time sellers is a market. I would try to get your hand in, carve out that niche if there's not somebody, or even carve out that niche. I would do it now just because just for the search engine placement alone, if you write really good content that's relevant to that, you may not be local, but your information could be showing up in other areas. So yeah, you do want to kind of hammer that one. So other options for sellers, people may be using why you shouldn't use Zestimates to price your house. Older couples that are looking to downsize their current homes. So some pain points might be, how hard it is to take care of a big house as you're getting older. Some of the benefits to downsizing. This is more the last part of it, where you're telling them their happy ending, where they're saving money, or they can go use the proceeds to take that cruise around the world they've been putting off on their bucket list for however long. So really kind of think, and it may help to think of it this way. You've got your pain point. Think what the ideal solution is, and that'll give you kind of your beginning and your end, and then you can fill out the middle with your plan here. Loan officers, haven't forgotten about you guys. People looking to get a loan after a bankruptcy, I know especially when stuff kind of fell out of the market several years ago, there are people that are don't think that they would be able to get a home loan if they're looking into moving on from that. There are a lot of government loan programs and grant programs out there that a lot of people aren't aware of. What programs are those? What types of people are those programs designed to benefit or help? So for example, we've got a USDA loan. I don't run a farm. I thought you had to have a farm to have a USDA loan. We just live in a very, very, very small town, well, rural area. It's just outside of a little bigger town, but we live in a rural area, so therefore we qualified for that within our state. Think about the questions that you guys get from your customers every day. What are some of the issues you've seen them face that you think it's a little crazy that they're thinking that they're in that position, because you can be the one to really connect with that and others that are in those same situations, and be the one to kind of drag them out and into the light of knowing that, no, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We can do this. This is possible, and not as, you know, expensive as you may have thought it was going to be. So, okay, so that's basically identifying the problem. We have the problem now. How are you going to help them? So you've just told me I have a problem. I'm freaking out a lot. Excuse me, freaking out about it a little bit. So how are you going to pretty much, you know, bring me back and say, okay, yes, you've got this. This is what I'm doing to help you. You know, you do want to kind of make it feel like it's a new idea. And just because, you know, you may have seen it or you think it, everybody knows this, I guarantee you there's going to be somebody that doesn't know how to do that or doesn't know that that's an option. Case in point, myself and the rural loan that we have. And again, that kind of also goes back to the jargon thing for a second. Yeah, if you're going to be talking about loan programs, I would frame it less in the abbreviations, more in who it can benefit. So, you know, people looking to, you know, maybe have the country lifestyle, but think that they have to have a farm in order to qualify for the USDA loan. That would have been me. But again, you know, kind of going back to this for a second, you know, but ways to make it feel new is it's highlighting how unique your business is, because you don't serve your customers the same way that the loan officers at the bank down the road do, you know, or you know, for real estate agents, the real estate agent down the road that does sort of the same market area. Really, again, just because the uniqueness also translates into being able to make your website and all the rest of your marketing unique. That's going to give your brand a voice, one that's authentic, and people want to connect with that authentic voice, because they're doing business, wanting to do business with you as a person, not necessarily, you know, oh, I'm doing business with an agent. It's, no, I'm doing business with Skeeter. I'm picking on you. I'm doing business with Skeeter, who's, you know, this really awesome person. You want to make it understandable. So the greatest plan in the world, if it's, you know, laid out and complex and you're using really verbose or big language, it's going to get muddied in it. You know, again, they're not going to know necessarily what the designations. So if you're looking for a customer that maybe wants to buy, is looking to buy green, so that's a really specific market too. You can, I don't remember the designation, but I know there's a specific designation that you guys can have, real estate agents, that points to being a green agent. So as somebody coming in from the street, I don't know necessarily what those letters mean. To me, if I've seen some agents that I look at the end of their, and I work with you guys on a daily basis, and I see the letters at the end of people's name, I'm going, gosh, I know they worked really hard for that, but I don't know how that benefits, you know, I don't know what expertise some of that is. I don't know how that's going to benefit, how that knowledge is going to benefit making my transaction smoother. So some ideas too. This is going a little off topic for a second. So if you do have designations that you're listing as part of your signature or on your website, I would highly consider creating some custom pages that explain the benefits to your customer and why you went after those extra designations, because that'll spell it out for them, and it'll help them connect with you in a bit bigger way, because they're going to go, wow, this person cares so much about making sure that more people are moving into green sustainable living homes, that they took a lot of extra effort to get this certification that they didn't have to do. So yeah, I want to go with them because I know they're going to be an expert in this, and it's something that they're very obviously passionate about and dedicated to. So it's those little psychological leaps too, that kind of drawing this in with the one-liner can do that. Oh, thank you, Jordan. She just put in a link to how to create a custom page on your site. And again, if you've got questions about how to do that, you can also give our support team a call. They can help as well if you get stuck or anything like that. You shouldn't. It's really, really easy. But okay. And I know I may not be practicing as much as what I'm preaching right now, but make it brief, because I know I've said kind of the same thing over and over again, a little bit different ways. I've kind of talked a little bit. But again, brief is best, especially because you're kind of combining these three components as plainly as you can state it, because I don't remember who said it, but being able to explain something that's very complex in a very distilled and an easy to understand manner is more of a way of demonstrating that you're an expert in that than throwing around a bunch of long words, or pulling out the thesaurus to try to fluff up the language, as it were. Simple, direct is best, and you don't want it to ramble on to where they're going to tune out or lose the message. So in your plan, make it new, make it understandable, make it brief. All right, so now we get to the part, everyone's favorite part of the story. What's the happy ending? For your customer, it's going to be the happy ending for them. Again, all of this is very focused around what you're articulating, what you do and what your business is about, in a way that shows your customers that you're there for them and their benefit. Really, this happy ending idea of, I put families in their dream homes, or that's the driving idea behind your business. I know somebody I was talking to during my consults this week, it said, it's not just about buying and selling houses, it's about building relationships. And I was like, dude, write that down, use that. That's more of a tagline rather than this one-liner that we're trying to create here. But I mean, you guys are very passionate about what you do. This is your business. This is your baby. Make sure that you definitely have that driving idea there. Think about, what does success look like to your customers, but more importantly, what does it feel like? Is it that peace of mind? Is it that comfort of knowing that you've got a great home that works for your family, that you can come home to every night? Kind of paint that picture a little bit. Make sure that it's something that they want, because if you've gone through all the effort to, it's like, here's your problem, here's our plan, this isn't the result that you wanted, was it? They're going to immediately turn off. So really, that's why earlier I was kind of saying that, think of a problem, think of an ideal solution, and then kind of formulate the plan in the middle. So that's one approach, if you're not doing this sequentially the way I'm kind of laying it out here. What's going to be the best outcome for them? Is it, and if you don't know what that is, ask. Talk to some of your past customers, or just use your customer experiences of, I had a family of 4 that had really outgrown their house. They needed room for, growing teenagers, family, or whatever, grow and move. You know, and where I'm getting a lot of these kind of off the examples and things like that off of is, I'll admit to watching a lot of HGTV, the house hunters and the real estate shows. I'll admit to it. And these are some of the things that are the kind of the commonalities in a lot of the episodes is people do have a lot more in common than they think. So again, ask your target audience if you're not sure. People are happy to tell you what they want. They're more than happy to tell you what they want. And again, keep it brief, succinct. It helps it stick better because, if you think about anytime you've ever had to memorize something, small chunks versus here's a big long sentence that doesn't necessarily, it isn't condensed enough to fully communicate the message. It could be as simple as stating a positive outcome, let them fill out their own details, because everybody's going to have their own details of what their dream home looks like or what their lifestyle. I know there are some agents out there that kind of market, it's like they don't just sell homes, they sell lifestyles, which Skeeter, I know that we were kind of joking about you being out in Hawaii, and I'm like, that's a lifestyle. That's a commitment to a lifestyle if you're moving out to Hawaii. So you can kind of capitalize on that as well. So kind of the last thing I want to keep in mind here as we're kind of going through this is this idea of we're all kind of have this curse of knowledge. Your customer, yeah, you guys can see. I think you can see my mouse. I don't know. Let's see. Try this. There you go. So your customers, this is the customer buying point. This is your knowledge. I mean, you know your industry, you know your business, you know what your services are, you know what you can do for your customers. Ideally, and you notice that there's kind of this big gap between the two where they're kind of this one where they're like, I know I need you, don't know why, not really sure what half these terms on your website mean or how they pertain to me buying a house. So, you kind of work, you kind of brainstorm to try to bring down, or not necessarily bring down the language, but you try to simplify your message a little bit more to getting to, maybe around 7. To kind of close this gap, does require a little bit of experimentation, kind of really honing in your message to figure out what's working, what doesn't. If you're talking to somebody and you can kind of get that, the glazed over look or the not sure what you mean expression, then you can be like, okay, hey, what was I explaining or something that you didn't understand, or what did you read on our website that you didn't understand, or what did you not understand from the social media post? Write those things down, and when you've got time, dedicate maybe an hour a week to kind of going through that list and improving that message on your site and through your site's language, because that's how you're going to close this gap here to where it's very easy and very friendly for user-friendly for your customers that, you're kind of talking their language, they're going to understand, versus, someone like myself, when we bought our house, I had been working here for 2-3 years. I don't know. I've been here 5 years. 2 years, yeah. So, and I was probably right around the 6-7 level whenever we started going, but that's because I work with you guys on a daily basis, and even then, I'm not a 10 when it comes to how to guide somebody through the process. So really it's all about kind of closing that gap. Having a good solid one-liner is the best way to do that. Um, so now that I've kind of shown you how to do that, I'm going to give you some examples for you guys. You know, growing families need larger homes, so our team leverages their combined knowledge to help you get your house ready to list for a fair market price and help you locate your ideal family home. I could probably take that one a little bit further. Not necessarily so much getting ready to list, but get it to sell. You know, I could add staging it to sell quickly and help you locate your ideal family home. So that's more of a buying, selling scenario, if that's an angle that you're wanting to get into, which that's a good transition point for an agent as well that works primarily with buyers. You know, turn those buyers eventually into your seller leads. So you do want to kind of maintain that relationship and nurture them. You know, I'm not necessarily going to sit there and read those to you guys because you're able to do that. What have you guys kind of come up with? You can either send it to the organizers or send it privately. But yeah, I'd like to see what you guys have kind of, some ideas that you guys have. We'll be kind of going here in just a little bit. So, yeah, because I just realized, I just looked at the time and realized it's running a little longer than I expected. But you can also email training at Pipeline ROI with kind of your one-liners from this class, so we can give you some feedback on those as well. Because, you know, now that you've got your one-liner, there we go, what do you do with it? First of all, you want to test it out so you can kind of dial in that message a little bit more. You know, standing in the line at your local coffee shop, you know, strike up a conversation with somebody standing in line saying, hey, you know, I've got a business and I'm working on kind of my elevator pitch. Would you mind, you know, just, you know, taking a quick listen, and I'd appreciate your feedback. You know, test it out. Once you get it kind of dialed in, you know, write it down, put it on, you know, your monitor, put it on your mirror, repeat it hundreds of times to yourself so that you really internalize that message. And, you know, as soon as somebody asks that question, you know, what is it that you do? It's just reflex that this is what I do, and you just expand that out. If you've got a team, teach it to them. Make sure that they internalize it as well, because that gives you a lot of a lot of gives your team that consistent branding as well, and really solidifies the cohesiveness of your office. Use it as your social media description or your bio across all your different platforms, because again, once you've got one that's good and engaging, it'll draw people in. People will want to go, will want to check out your website, will want to connect with you through social media, because you may get leads through your social media accounts, whereas somebody doesn't really want to fill out a form on your website. That's kind of a more recent shift in how you guys can get leads as well. Use it in as much of your marketing material as you possibly can. So real quick, we've got time for one. I know Skeeter has shared theirs. Get paid to own a dream front Maui condo. That's a good tagline, but the question is what problem is it solving for your customers? Are they, you know, I'm trying to think of what problems. Kind of wish Becky was in this class, because she would not run out of a list of problems that a good beach condo could solve. But think about why would somebody want to do that? Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, so I've got it from the site. Reading over that real quick while I think. Okay, so you've got long history. Because I think the problem though is the perception of living in Hawaii is it's expensive or oh yeah. Knowing the best places to look. Well, one problem with that I can think of is moving to Maui. I've never been to Hawaii, but I would say if I were having to move and I was, you know, having to look for a property, definitely knowing, the neighborhood. So you could kind of revamp the one. Oh, which slide was that? Hang on. You can kind of revamp this one as, when relocating to Maui, most people don't know where to find the information or the information about the local economy, various HOA guidelines and neighborhoods and schools. So, we're a team of local experts. So you could actually kind of reuse some of this and just make it a little bit more specific to Maui, and that would help, because the long history is good. That's something that I would maybe more save for your bio section that you've got right there. But I would also, let's see, I'm trying to think, because the plan is, I help you find what neighborhoods to live in so you can get paid to own a dream oceanfront Maui condo. That last part I would definitely keep. But yeah, I know the point that Jordan's trying to make with the finding a knowledgeable agent can be difficult. The thing is I'm not sure. I don't. For my opinion is that that's not specific enough, because it doesn't get to the problem, I guess, fast enough, or the pain point of relocating to Maui. What if I don't want to live where all the tourists are going to be? How am I going to do this, that, or the other? So those are just different ideas, and things like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's class. Again, if you've got any questions, you can also email training@Pipeline ROI. I would try, yeah, I would definitely keep trying, and I would try out whatever you develop, Skeeter, on people in your local area. And even if you've got Facebook friends and things outside outside of Hawaii, people that would be looking to come live that lifestyle, I would reach out to them for feedback, because I'll be the first to admit I'm probably not your target market, just because I don't know, don't know if I'm really a beach person or not. I've never really been to an actual beach, so so yeah, I would definitely recommend talking to your to people locally, as well as reaching out to your friends, family, network, things like that, because the key for yours is going to be establish a problem that somebody doesn't realize that they have, and that's always a little tricky to do. And I guess the idea too is also get them to kind of question the knowledge of other agents in the area, because you're the one that, like, I've got all of these local details attended to. I can help you find the right condo and and help you get paid to own a Dreamfront Maui condo, or Dream Oceanfront condo. Sorry, I can't. I like that. Life is good, Maui's better. That's a great tagline. That is a great tagline. All right, you guys have a great Thursday, and we will see you guys next Tuesday, and have a great weekend. Bye.